Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Talking About Balls. I am Justin George, flying the ship solo today with a little bit of help from my friend named George also. He will be chiming in every so often. He's going to help me with the recap of Week 6. He's going to help me with picks, obviously. He'll have his own. And as a special treat for everybody, George has a tip to give to all of you. So we will do all of that today and more. We have plenty to talk about. This episode is, of course, called Shitsburgh because the Browns played in Shitsburgh over the weekend, and it went as well as you would have expected. Hence why I took Pittsburgh. That's a huge plus for me. I'm the only one who took Pittsburgh. Everyone else took Cleveland. Winner, winner, chicken dinner. All right, so I'm going to do the scores really quick. I'll do that while I'm talking. I'm going to share the show on social media, so let me do that. One thing I want to do is I want to get the show more. I'd like to use YouTube more, and I know that's easier said than done, but I would like to use YouTube instead of Facebook. I don't know. I don't like Facebook. Not a fan of the Zuckerberg community. So if you guys want to check out the show, if you're ever so inclined, I would recommend checking us out on YouTube, because the other cool thing with YouTube is you can scroll out of it and the video will keep playing in your background. Whereas Facebook, when you scroll out, you lose the video. So I think YouTube is just better in all facets of watching the show. So if you don't mind checking it out, I do, however, have to share the show on Facebook just for our groups that I share them in. So let me do that now. I apologize. But I don't know why it's doing that. Okay. Facebook's acting up. Go figure. Thanks, Zuck. But we are here. We have plenty to talk about. Fun week. I think I previewed a little bit of my weekend, and it's constantly busy. I'm just nonstop. It's fun, but it's also taxing. It's exhausting. I've come to the realization that I am just burned out in terms of everything, whether it be work, totally burned out of work right now. I we have Disney coming up in 2 weeks, and I'm looking forward to it, but I also know that Disney's not exactly a relaxing vacation. Disney's kind of go, hectic, but luckily we have a couple days off in between for the parks, and I also get to, when I come home, I'm taking an extra day off the next day, so there's a little bit of time to decompress, but still, it's exhausting. Being a parent is obviously tiring and exhausting. I'm sure any parent out there is well aware. Not in a bad way. It's a lot. I get up at 6 o'clock in the morning. I go to work. I get home by about 4, and then it's right into dad duty because she's not a infant anymore. When she was an infant, it was kind of cool it was easy, I should say, because I'd come home from work and she was getting ready to take her second nap of the day at like 4:30, 5 o'clock, so I could put her down for a nap, and then that's when I could go shower. I could make food, hang out for a little bit, watch a movie, just do some stuff like that. Now it's come home from work and it's right to dad duty until she goes to bed at right about now, 7 o'clock, we put her down. And then when you're finished on non-show nights, you literally put her to bed, hope she goes to bed quick, which usually is not the case lately. She likes to fight it. So she's usually asleep by 7:30, 8 o'clock, and then you're done. Your evening is clear. So you immediately come out of the bedroom, you go downstairs, you clean up, you do your chores, whatever you have to do. Last night was taking the garbage out. Some nights you have to wash some dishes. Clean up around the house, do laundry, whatever. That's your free time to get that done. Also, you try to take a shower. You try to eat dinner yourself if you haven't had anything yet, because sometimes you don't get to eat all day. And then you finally try to sit down to enjoy a movie or a TV show at 9, 10 o'clock. And then you go to bed and you do it all over again. So that's the circle of life when you're a parent, which, again, wouldn't trade it for anything, but it is exhausting after a while. And again, when you fill in work, which can be frustrating at times, which currently my job is frustrating a little bit. I won't get into details because this show is not about my real work, but sometimes you get a little burnt out and you get a little, taxed, if you will. So then the other part of that is, okay, then you think about all right, well, we have a weekend coming up. Weekends are always fun. You get to hang out and, you come home and you stay up a little later because it's the weekend. You get to, relax, put your feet up a little bit. Not the case. Not the case at all. Last week, for instance, was go home from work, go straight to the shower, get ready, and then go to Cedar Point, which is cool. Not a bad thing. Went to Cedar Point. Shout out to my sister who came over to watch Teddy for us so we could go to Cedar Point with my in-laws, my brother-in-law and sister-in-law. We went to Cedar Point, had a great time, ended up staying till close. Got home, I don't know, 2 o'clock, 1:30, something like that. It was late. So came home, went right to bed. Got up Saturday. I was on early duty Saturday, so I had to get up first thing, grab Teddy, take her downstairs, get her breakfast, hang out with her for a little bit while Tara slept. Then Tara got up, and then we hung out for a little bit, and then I went to friend of ours, mine and Kyle, Garen. He had his bachelor party, which was a fun hangout with some friends. We all just had a bunch of drinks, played some video games, ate some pizza, just an old school guys night. That was one of Garen's favorite things to do back in high school before I even met him, was to have friends come over and just have video game nights. They would just stay up all night playing video games, eating junk food, classic stuff kids did, teens, kids, whatever. And it's something we still do. Every once in a while, our friends will host video game days and we'll just all go hang out and play video games together, which is fun because we all like playing Call of Duty together. So we did that, and that was Saturday. So that was my whole night because we ended up playing till pretty late. I ended up leaving our friend's house at about midnight. And then I got home, went to bed, got up Sunday, and it was right to, what's it called? It was right into Harvest Fest, I think it was called. And Harvest Fest was in Berea at Coe Lake. It was packed. It was really cool. They had pumpkin patches. They had characters dressed up. They had the Sanderson sisters from Hocus Pocus was there. They had a magician. They had a trick-or-treat pathway. Decorations galore, food trucks. It was a really fun time. So we went there with Teddy. It started at 11. So we took her right there at 11 o'clock. We walked around, hung out with some people, and then we came home, basically got home right at kickoff for the Browns-Steelers game, and I got to watch the Browns get their asses kicked. And then as soon as that game ended, we went to another park, not Coe Lake. I couldn't remember the name of it, but we went to another park, and we just local, because obviously we live in the parkway, and we took family photos. Tara wanted to take some family photos. So we did that, and we took some family photos, went home, put Teddy to bed Sunday night, watched a little Sunday Night Football, and I also watched a movie, which will be my tip tonight. I'll tell you all about it. Tara and I watched a movie Sunday night. And then Monday, same thing, rinse and repeat, got home from work, and Tara was outside with Teddy in the backyard taking fall photos, more photos of Teddy. So I went out there with that, hung out for a little bit with the family, came back in, and then, rinse and repeat. That's just your life as a person. There's no time for breaks, and you're tired a lot, and you just got to power through. So it's fun. It's exhausting. It's a new experience. It's teaching me to be more selfless instead of selfish, because I'm a selfish person. I'm the first to admit it. I enjoy freedom. I enjoy me time. I like being alone and being left alone. And I know it pisses my wife off a lot because I will just go sit in the den and sit by myself, and she'll be upstairs going, what the hell? Why aren't we watching something together? And I'm just like, you can come down here if you want, but I'm just sitting down there because I like being alone. Sometimes I'll sneak off to the bedroom and I'll just lay in bed and turn on the TV, read a book or whatever. And then she'll come up 10 minutes later and go, what the hell? You didn't tell me you were going to bed. And I'm like, I snuck off. I like alone time. I'm selfish. But you don't get that anymore as a dad. So again, wouldn't trade it for the world. Love every second of it. But right now I'm tired. I'm exhausted. So just shared everything. I shared the YouTube link on Facebook. So again, if you're watching this on Facebook, if you don't mind switching over to YouTube, greatly appreciated. Trying to get some more YouTube views. The reason I bring that up is because friend of show, Guardian Guy Greg, was talking to me about it the other day. And he said, hey, when you check YouTube, if you see one view on your video, he goes, just know that was me. And I was like, damn, are our videos that bad on YouTube? We get on Facebook, our shows get, a few hundred views an episode, which is not bad for doing a DIY podcast that we're not we don't promote or do anything special with. To get a few hundred is incredible. I really appreciate it. However, to get one on YouTube is kind of I got to get those numbers up. I don't like those numbers. So let's get a little more YouTube involved here, everybody. If you could, that would be great. But yeah, so that was my week. That was the BS pretty much. Not a whole lot to report in the news. I mean, obviously everything's political. The big news, I don't know, maybe it's my own algorithm. I need to refresh my algorithm. That's one thing I was doing some investigative research on for myself, is to cut down on screen time. I've realized my phone is taking over my life, and I'm too involved with it. I find myself just anytime I'm bored, immediately pull out my phone and just doom scrolling. I'm just going through any app that I can fucking find just to scroll. And it's not healthy. It's not good. I need to expand my mind a little bit. One thing I used to do that I absolutely love is I love reading. And I feel like when I'm reading more, my mind is a little more creative. And I haven't been able to read a ton lately. I've been listening to some audiobooks, but then I kind of took a break because there haven't been any good ones that are catching my eye. But I've been reading a novel, and I actually today just got the Charlie Sheen biography. The library finally had an audiobook copy of that called, I don't remember what it's called. It is called The Book of Sheen, and I just got a copy of that. So I'm excited. I'm listening to it. I'm like, I don't know, an hour in, give or take, maybe a little more. It's good so far. I mean, so far I'm only in the 70s, I think, when they were filming Apocalypse Now. His dad, Martin Sheen, I think, give or take, the 70s when they made Apocalypse Now. So I am only in that part of his life. So that shows you how long and detailed the book is going to be, that I've been in it for an hour and he's still a child. So I'm sure the stories are going to get crazier as the story progresses, and I can't wait. I'm a big Charlie Sheen fan. I think his story is crazy. I think he's a good actor. I think he's what's the word I'm looking for? He's multifaceted, I guess would be the word. I don't know. He could do different genres. He did Wild Thing. He's done comedy. He's done some serious movies. Like, he can do everything. I just think he's a pretty good actor. By no stretch I'm going to be honest, by no stretch do I think he's like an award-winning, like, holy shit actor, but I do think he's good and entertaining. And that's the best way I can describe it. That's like, Ryan Reynolds is my personal favorite actor. Do I think Ryan Reynolds will ever win an award for any of his acting? No, but I do like that he can do horror, he can do drama, he can do comedy, especially, really well. So again, his talent level for me is just like, he's going to make this movie entertaining, and that's all I can really ask for an actor. I know there's people out there that are like obsessed with Daniel Day-Lewis, who is a phenomenal actor for sure, but also like a little too much sometimes, in my opinion. But it's all subjective. So, reading the Charlie Sheen book, I'm excited. He was Wild Thing, Cleveland roots. His parents, I didn't realize this till I started listening to the book. Both of his parents were born and raised in Dayton, Ohio. Didn't know that. So not too far from Cleveland. So that's kind of cool to know that he does have roots in Ohio. And then when he did Major League as Wild Thing, and Rick Vaughn, not too far from Dayton. Got a little bit of history here. He wasn't born in Ohio, but his parents were, so that's still cool. So yeah, checking that out. But again, it opens up my mind creatively. And I used to write a little bit, not like poetry or books or anything like that. I wrote comedy, and I performed way back in the day, stand-up comedy. And I know it's a pipe dream as of now, especially with a child, but like, I've been thinking about it a little more lately than I have in the past, of like, maybe I do it as just a hobby, something to kind of get, something to spice up life a little bit. Wrong book, George. This one's called The Book of Sheen. It was written by Charlie Sheen. It was his own autobiography. So The Book of Sheen. But yeah, it's fantastic. But yeah, so I've been getting a little, trying to find things to take, consume my mind rather than just looking at my phone. So, whether that's writing, reading, whatever, trying to do something different. Yesterday, I took Teddy for a long walk, and I put her on her little bike. We went for a walk around the parkway and gave it a shot. Thanks, George. Appreciate it. No problem. No harm, no foul. But yeah, so just trying to do different things, getting out there with nature. I know it's almost winter time, so it's kind of not great timing because I'm going to be trapped inside here soon. But, it is what it is. Try to get out there and just do something different. Just trying to stay off my phone a little bit. So that's what I'm doing right now. And that's pretty much it. Got another busy weekend ahead. I am going to, Friday night, I have nothing. I am going to just do yard work. I do have to cut the grass and get some leaves taken care of. So I'm going to do as much yard work as I can on Friday night, as long as the weather holds up. Saturday morning, I'm going to get up and finish the yard work because I will not be able to get it all done in one evening. And then we're going back to Cedar Point on Saturday. This time, just me and Tara. It's a tradition of ours. We always go to a Halloween weekend Saturday at Cedar Point together. And last week we went with the in-laws. It was fun, but again, we got there at like 6 o'clock. It was already dark. We walked around for a little bit, had some drinks, rode a bunch of rides because it actually wasn't too busy, and then we went home. But that was with with our my sister-in-law, brother-in-law. So this week it's just going to be Tara and I on Saturday, and then that's it. That's all I have planned this weekend, and I'm very happy about that. Sunday is my sister's birthday, and then I will be watching the Browns game. As of right now, we have nothing planned for her birthday, so I don't know if we're doing anything. And then on next week, we leave for Disney. I have a wedding, and then on Saturday, then we leave for Disney on Sunday. So another busy weekend, but we'll figure it all out. So that is it for BS. It is now time to talk about the reason I named this show Shitsburgh, and that was the Browns game in Pittsburgh. Top to bottom, it was a shit show. It was bad. I'm really not that upset about it, though. There's a lot of people that are like losing their fucking minds this week. And to be honest, this was expected. The Browns are tanking. I think I've been pretty clear with that when I told everybody the situation when I noticed what they did with the quarterbacks. I said, they're all in for 26. They traded out of number 2 to take Mason Graham at 5 and to get an extra draft pick for next year. And they got an extra draft pick in the second round of this year. They took a stud linebacker so far. Carson Schlesinger has been a stud. They took Quinshon Judkins, who they expect to be their star running back for the foreseeable future. And getting that extra draft pick in 2026 was huge. And then you go to the offseason. At first, they traded for Kenny Pickett. And again, I got into arguments with people where I was like, there's no way in hell Kenny Pickett starts for the Browns. They're going to draft a quarterback. They have to. And then they didn't. Day 1. Day 2, round 2, no quarterback, which I'm okay with. Again, I was very open and honest about this quarterback class. I did not like it at all. I hated it from top to bottom. I don't mind Dylan Gabriel as a pick because I understand who he is. I understand that Dylan Gabriel is a career backup quarterback. He was not drafted to be a savior of this franchise quarterback. There are fans out there that don't like that. They go, why would you waste a third-round pick? And I said, please do your research. There are a lot of teams in the history of the NFL that have gone through and taken quarterbacks in the third round. Russell Wilson was a third-round pick who was taken after they gave a huge contract to Matt Flynn to be the starting quarterback in Seattle. Russell Wilson came in as the backup, third-round quarterback, just played really well, got the starting job, turned into what he is known for now, which today is shit, but back then he was actually pretty good. Then the year RG3 was taken number 2 overall by the Washington Redskins at the time. They also took Kirk Cousins in the second and the third round of that draft, who then on, because of all the injuries to Russell Wilson or to RG3, to play a lot of football. And then next thing you know, he became a starter in Minnesota and then was signed to be the starter in Atlanta and was benched inevitably, but still it happens. Teams take quarterbacks early. Tyler Shugg, or however you pronounce his last name, and in New Orleans, was drafted in the second round. That's pretty fucking high. He's riding the bench. He's already like 26 years old. He's an older quarterback, and he's the backup in New Orleans, who are a bad team. There's no future for that kid there. That was a wasted draft pick. At least Dylan Gabriel was, again, drafted to just be what he is. Don't turn the ball over. Be smart. And if your quarterback, your franchise quarterback, presumably you get one in 2026, if he's hurt for a game or two, like what happened with Jaden Daniels this year, what's happening with J.J. McCarthy, you have these quarterbacks that are down for a couple of weeks. I'm okay with Dylan Gabriel coming in. Don't turn it over. Just play smart football. George, I got to go help Tara with Teddy. So let's stop the show for right now. We'll hop back on in a little bit. It'll be really quick. Unless, if you want to kill some time, maybe give me 10 minutes.
I got you.
All right, I appreciate it. I'll be right back.
No
Thank
problem,
you.
sir.
Thank you.
No problem at all. I was going to say, we'll turn around and take a we could turn around and take a break, and we can definitely come back and get him squared up so that he can take care of Teddy. So I will go ahead and make this move to the. We'll be right back. It's almost like the 1980s Saturday morning cartoons. after these messages. We'll be right back. Of course. This is, of course, a new avenue for everybody, as it's holy crap, what's going on? Where did everybody go? It's a Teddy alert. We'll be right back. Teddy alert, Teddy alert. And I will turn around and put his book on this one that he brought up and talked about Charlie Sheen. As I say, did not get an opportunity to put anything together. I will definitely have to keep this in hand for future use. So that way we've got it. Yes. We're going to delete that one. And we're going to put up the new one. There we go.
Were you playing Star Wars, George? I lost you.
Just a teaser.
As long as we don't get kicked off for copyright infringement.
No, that's a believe it or not, somebody already had turned around and chat GPT'd that probably, because that was actually part of the animation sequence of a Star Wars. So somebody turned around and chat GPT'd that. So I think we're good.
As long as we don't get canceled.
Yeah,
that's all I care about.
You're good. You're good. So I might as well get you back to the shit show.
Okay. Thank you very much.
I did find your right book, though, I think.
Yes, that is the exact book that I'm listening to right now. You nailed it. More than likely, if it keeps up the way that it's going, it will be my Just the Tip in a week or two once I finish it. But we'll get to that when we get to it. But yeah, so the Browns got their asses kicked. And as I was saying, the Browns it couldn't be more obvious, in my opinion, that they're tanking. They did nothing to address the offense this offseason aside from drafting Quinshon Judkins and Dylan Sampson. And they drafted 2 rookie quarterbacks in Shedeur Sanders, obviously, and Dylan Gabriel. Neither of those 2 are franchise quarterbacks, let's be honest. The running backs, yes, they have a future here for a while. That's fair. Every other pick that they had, defense. They took Harold Fannin, forgot about him. So they did take a tight end. But that was David Njoku's replacement. David Njoku looks old. He looks slow. More than likely going to be a trade candidate here in a couple of weeks. Speaking of David Njoku, speaking of the Browns tanking and all the evidence that shows you that, I tried to tell people for a long time, this wide receiver room and, tight ends, etc., Browns probably have the worst room of weapons in the entire NFL. Lo and behold, David Oasami or whatever, I forgot his name, the Browns beat reporter for ESPN, he looked up the stats or he found like an article, basically like PFF, Pro Football Focus. Somebody took the top 89 eligible pass catchers in the NFL, wide receivers and tight ends. 89, mind you, okay? And they rank them all based on actual information, based on their separation that they get from corners, based on their yards per catch, and all that kind of stuff. It's all wide receiver, pass catching stats. Of the top 4 pass catchers on the Cleveland Browns, being Jerry Jeudy, David Njoku, Harold Fannin, and now Isaiah Bond, because Cedric Tillman's on the IR. Those 4, and I'm not fucking with you, are all in the 80s. I think Harold Fannin is 82. David Njoku's 83. I think Isaiah Bond is like 85. And Jerry Jeudy is 87 out of 89. The Browns' top 4 pass catchers are all, give or take, the worst in football. So, tells you what you need to know right there. Doesn't help that Jerry Jeudy leads the NFL in drops. Doesn't help that Harold Fannin is dropping a ton of balls for some reason. That dude had like 3 drops at Bowling Green. And I'm not knocking Harold Fannin. He's a rookie, so I'm gonna cut him some slack. But he had another huge drop on Sunday. A perfect pass from Dylan Gabriel to the sideline. Dropped it wide open. He had a killer drop against the Bengals that basically cost us a drive. And we had to punt after that. It possibly could have won us the game. Dropped it. He's had some major drops. So that's an issue, something to work through. Kevin Stefanski kind of addressed that today. Somebody asked him about the drops, and he was like, I mean, obviously, we're not out there coaching, don't drop the ball. That kind of goes without saying. We're coaching, stick to your, mechanics and your what's what I'm looking for, your process and all that kind of stuff, which he's right. But we are in a weird situation with the Browns. The fan base is growing loud with hating Kevin Stefanski because they need somebody to blame. You reach a point where they don't want to hear that this is a planned tank, because it is. In my opinion, I believe this was planned. When Jimmy Haslam came out in the offseason, I've said this before, when he came out in the offseason and said that the Deshaun Watson trade was a huge swing and a miss, or whatever he said, similar to those lines, basically admitting that they fucked up. That was his way of saying we have to reset this thing because we gave him a huge contract. They didn't work out. Obviously, his huge contract against the cap prohibits what they can do. It's not as bad as fans try to pretend it is, where fans act like the Browns have no money to spend at all. The Browns can make this work, no problem. I trust Andrew Berry in that facet. But the people that are like mad that this offense isn't scoring points, we have the worst wide receivers in football and tight ends. Our offensive line is a mess, and people are blaming Stefanski for that, even though we're on our third string tackles, trading for guys in the middle of the season and being like, hey, come play on Sunday. We need you in London. And they're not playing well. The interior offensive line that used to be the strongest part of the Cleveland Browns organization is not good anymore. Joel Bitonio is old. Joel Bitonio is not the same player he was 5 years ago when he was a habitual Pro Bowler. Ethan Posick is an average center at best. And Wyatt Teller had like 2 really good years with Bill Callahan, and he has been on a decline of talent ever since. Your right tackle is Jack Conklin, who can't stay healthy. He was a guy that they brought in that was a huge signing at the time. Just has not been able to stay healthy. I don't really hold that against the guy. I know people like hate players that can't stay healthy. But you know, some people just get hurt. That is what it is. I don't think Jack Conklin's faking injuries to not play. I think he just has bad injury luck, and that's just part of the game. Same thing with DeJuan Jones. DeJuan Jones, love him or hate him, worked his ass off, got in pretty good shape for the season, and then all it took was one play to get his leg rolled up and his knee's done. Or I forgot exactly what happened to him, but I know his knee got fucked up. I forgot the play, but that's all it takes. One play, your knee's done, out for the season. So the fans that complain about Barry saying he did nothing to address the offensive line, it's like he did. I mean, he drafted DeJuan Jones. If I'm not mistaken, he signed Jack Conklin a few years ago. It was him that did that. He got Ethan Posick here in Cleveland because at the time, we didn't have Ethan Posick. We had just Joel Bitonio and Wyatt Teller. Joel Bitonio was drafted many years ago. He's been in the league for like 10 plus years. And then Wyatt Teller was traded from John Dorsey. So people like to bitch and moan about Andrew Berry, but I mean, when you start to have injuries and stuff like that, you can't just replace those guys. And I heard today, like I'm listening to Tony Rizzo, and that's another one back to my quote unquote screen time. I need to cut down on like listening to sports talk in Cleveland because they're just so miserable. I feel like misery, when you listen to like depressing things that are just constantly negative, it kind of gets in your head. And I think that's a very true thing that people have always said. So that's one thing. I listen to Cleveland sports talk and it's just doom and gloom negativity all the time, which rightfully so. I mean, they're 1-5. You should be pissed, but the constant daily just, this guy should be fired. This guy, they stink. This is awful. It's like, okay, I get it. I watch them every week. I know it stinks, but I still enjoy watching them. They're my favorite football team. I get 17 weeks a year to watch them play football. I enjoy all 17 of those, whether they're good or bad. I still want to watch my team play. But yeah, so now it's super, there's a little bit of a divide on who people want fired. And right now the hot topic is Kevin Stefanski. He's probably getting 75% of the heat, and the other 25 is going to Andrew Berry. And, you know, I think personally Andrew Berry might have saved his own job because of the draft he had this year. I think he had a really good draft class. And I think Kevin Stefanski should be given an opportunity to draft his own quarterback. I will tinfoil hat conspiracy theory this until I'm blue in the face. I believe Paul DePodesta was running the team way more than people want to admit or believe. I think Paul DePodesta was really hands-on with the draft for the last 5 years that Andrew Berry's been here. And that's why most of our draft classes have been very bad. And the players we get are like, you kind of look at it, you're like, what the fuck are they taking this guy for? And then most of them ended up not being very good. I'll be honest. We had a handful of good players from the draft before 2025. And even that's just so far we're, a month and a half into their career. So it's not like we're saying they nailed this draft. It could go to shit. You never know. But right now it looks good. But when you date back to 2020, they took Jedrick Wills. That was Andrew Berry's first draft as the Cleveland Browns GM. They needed an offensive lineman. They took a right tackle out of Alabama who they needed to move to left tackle. Kind of a funny thing. Everybody and their brother that loves Bill Callahan and misses Bill Callahan. Side note, he is now available, Bill Callahan, to come back to Cleveland because his son, Brian Callahan, was fired from the Tennessee Titans. So Bill asked to be let go as well because they fired his son. So Bill is a free agent. When Bill was here in Cleveland, and this was the reports, the articles that were written back then, Bill Callahan basically hand-selected Jedrick Wills. He loved him, said he wanted him to come to Cleveland, and, he was all about him. Jedrick Wills wasn't very good in the NFL. Jedrick Wills played for 4 years, I think. And, 4 years, all with the Cleveland Browns. They did not extend his rookie contract. They didn't give him his fifth-year option, rightfully so. He didn't earn it. And he's taking a year off of football, I believe is the story, is that he is taking a year off to get himself healthy, and he's going to try to find another team next year. So, bad pick. That was just round one. I don't even remember who the second-round picks of that year were, and this and that. I'm not going to go through every player because we all know that obviously there wasn't a lot of talent taken then. Then you go to 2021, and that was the draft in Cleveland. They took Greg Newsome, who was a good corner. Not great, good. He was just traded. We'll talk about that because his fifth-year option is up, and the Browns were not going to keep him. So another draft pick from Andrew Berry, first-round pick, that's not getting a second contract in Cleveland. Not great when that starts happening. Then we lost the draft picks after that because we traded for Deshaun Watson. So we had to go for 3 years without a first-round pick. In 22, 23, 24, 2025, we finally have our first-round picks back. We take Mason Graham. So far, so good. But again, I'm not going to go through every player that we've taken, but you can look up the history yourself. JOK was a great draft pick they took in 2021 until he got hurt. Not his fault. Again, I'm not blaming Andrew Berry. You can't predict injuries. But they went all in on Deshaun Watson. And again, I was all for that. I'm not going to try to backtrack that now. I will sit here with egg on my face for the rest of my life. It was a smart move. There are a lot of Baker Mayfield revisionist history people out there that act like Baker in Cleveland was the same Baker that Tampa has. Baker was not good in Cleveland. He was okay. That's it. Nothing special. Baker Mayfield had prime Nick Chubb. He had prime David Njoku. He had Jarvis Landry, Odell Beckham. Rashard Higgins was a good wide receiver, for fuck's sake. They had some weapons for him here. He had a really good offensive line that was healthy when they were healthy. They did everything they could for Baker. Browns didn't really do much. I mean, yes, they almost beat the Chiefs because Patrick Mahomes got injured in that game. And yes, the Rashard Higgins fumble out of the end zone was a killer. But at the end of the day, they still had an opportunity to win. Baker got the ball a couple times late in that game, and we did nothing with it. Defense couldn't stop Chad Henne, I think, was their backup, from running like 13 yards to get a first down against us. So just, shit happens. We lost the game, the playoff game. The Pittsburgh game, again, I'm not trying to shit on Baker. I know it's going to sound that way, but if you really watch the game, Baker didn't do a ton to win that game. The defense scored 3 touchdowns. Some of the passes Baker had were good passes. Again, I'm not trying to knock him, but he didn't do anything special. He wasn't threading the needle and leading us down on game-winning drives. He was just going, all right, here's a little screenplay to Kareem Hunt, who took it into the end zone. Here's a wide open Jarvis Landry on a slant. Here, I hit him with the pass. You're an NFL quarterback. You should hit that pass. Hits him with the pass. Jarvis Landry takes it into the end zone. Again, not knocking Baker, but he wasn't the reason we won that playoff game. And then, of course, we moved on from Baker. The next year, he got hurt. His contract was up. The Browns were like, well, we're not going to give this dude max money. This is where the story gets a little fuzzy for people out there that pretend that the Browns just let go, MVP caliber Baker Mayfield. He was traded. The Browns paid a chunk of his money for him to go to Carolina because they wanted him off the team for I forgot, they got a 5th-round pick, 4th-round pick, whatever. So they trade Baker to Carolina. Baker goes to Carolina. Not great. I think they were 1-5 with Baker, something like that. He got benched. He got demoted. Again, a lot of people forget this. He was playing defensive line on the practice squad just for something to do at practice because they weren't playing him at quarterback because they didn't think that highly of him. He asked for his release, and they released him. So he was a free agent. Well, technically not. He got claimed off waivers from the Rams because the Rams needed a quarterback the next night because Matthew Stafford was hurt. So Baker came in, and this is where everybody goes, that Baker's the fucking man. He came in on a Thursday night football. I think it was Thursday night football game for the for the Los Angeles Rams. Won the game. Didn't even get a chance to learn the playbook. How fucking great is he? He won that game. That's a really cool story. But nobody paid attention to the rest of that season because you know what Baker did for the rest of that season? They lost every game. He ended that season with a record of 2-9 or something like that. I think they went 1-4 in his last few games with the Rams. So he had a record of 2-9. I forgot his touchdowns, interceptions that year. Not great. I think when he was with the Rams, he had like 4 touchdowns, 2 interceptions in 5 games or something like that. Nothing special. Again, wasn't a great quarterback. Then he was a free agent. Not many teams were interested till the Tampa Bay Buccaneers called because Tom Brady retired and all they had was Kyle Trask. If you even know who that is. He was from Florida, I believe. A rookie that or not a rookie at the time, but they drafted him out of Florida to be the successor of Tom Brady, but Kyle Trask wasn't good, so he never played. But Baker Mayfield signed a like $4 million contract, which is, close to like league minimum, basically, to go on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers team and to compete with Kyle Trask for the starting job. And I'm not saying this to be funny. This is all true shit. This is exactly how it went down. He was signed to compete with Kyle Trask on a very cheap prove-it deal with Tampa. That's how low the rest of the NFL thought of Baker Mayfield. Kudos to Tampa for figuring it out and getting success out of Baker. Again, I'm not knocking it, but for the people that think that the Browns got rid of that same quarterback, it's just wrong. So that's why I don't hold that against Barry and Stefanski and them and this and that. But I do believe that one of the top people to make this all happen was Paul DePodesta when he said, we need to improve the quarterback position. Analytically speaking, we can't justify paying Baker Mayfield. At the time, it would have been like, I don't know, $30 million a year, give or take, in his contract. That was, a higher but going rate for quarterbacks at that time. Couldn't justify paying Baker Mayfield $30 million a year. They looked at a guy in Deshaun Watson who, when he was playing in Houston for his last year before he sat out, was an MVP candidate. He was a top 5 quarterback in the NFL. That's not fake. That's real. So the Browns said, we're getting this guy who was great in college. He's been great as a pro. He's the missing piece. They trade for him. Obviously, he's got a suspension. He comes back. He doesn't look very good. You go, okay, he hasn't played in 2 years. Rusty. Come back to the next year. Still not very good. You're going, maybe it's rust. And then he starts to click. We win a couple games. Things are looking okay. Has a couple injuries here and there. Plays that fucking Ravens game. I know that's the Super Bowl of the Deshaun Watson era. That's the game everybody brings up, but he looked really good. He was perfect in the second half. I think he passed 14 of 14. He ran the ball a bunch. I mean, Browns beat the Ravens in Baltimore. That's unheard of. That was huge. I was like, holy shit, this team figured it out. The next day, out for the season, shoulder surgery. Cool. And then you guys know the rest of the story. He came back healthy last year and was just garbage for the season until he tore his Achilles. And it has just been a horrible trade. So it happens. I will never be mad at my team for swinging for the fences like that. Everybody hates Jimmy Haslam because they're like, oh, this guy's a fucking idiot, blah, blah, blah. He needs to sell the team. That dude did a crazy move, gave a guaranteed he gave 200 or what was it? Yeah, 230 million, I think, or something like that. $230 million cash, basically, to a guy because he said, I want to win this team a fucking Super Bowl. How much is it going to cost? Let's try it. That's a fucking bold move. That's a great move. That's a dude who's no bullshit. Look at the Cincinnati Bengals. Cincinnati Bengals have Joe Burrow. He's, when healthy, one of the best quarterbacks in football. What did they do with him? They kind of fucked around with signing a bunch of guys. They don't like to spend money. They're cheap. They had to sell the naming rights to the stadium for the first time because they're like, we need more money. They're not just going to piss it away. And I'm not saying that that's, not every owner has Jimmy Haslam cash. Trust me. But Jimmy Haslam was willing to back up his fucking talk and say, I'm going to try to bring a Super Bowl to Cleveland. He swung for the fences. It missed, but he tried. And I will never be upset about that. I don't understand the fans that hate him for that. The dude, his job is to run the football team and to try to win you football games. And he spent $250 million on one guy to try to get a Super Bowl for this team in this city. And they're fucking ungrateful. Same thing with the Stefanski hate. If you go back, I've done some research. I don't know the exact stats off the top of my head, but I've looked it up, and it's out there. You can look it up. It's on Reddit. Somebody made a list of, I think for the last like 10 years or something, like 7 years, whatever, teams that made the playoffs. The Browns have actually made the playoffs twice in the last 5 years. I did it in a 5-year increment because of Andrew Berry being here from 2020. The Browns have made the playoffs twice. Obviously, dating back from 1999, they made the playoffs once before Andrew Berry came along. One time in 20 years. 21 to be exact. 21 years, they made the playoffs once. Andrew Berry and Kevin Stefanski have been here for 5 years. They've been to the playoffs twice. In that 5 years, that's 40% of the time you're making the playoffs. Go around the rest of the NFL. How often are teams making the playoffs besides, your dynasty teams? Not that often. If I'm not mistaken, off the top of my head, I think the Browns are in the top 12 for the most playoff appearances since 2020. That's pretty fucking good for the people out there that say the Browns are the worst team in football, dysfunctional, blah, blah, blah. Jets haven't been to the playoffs in 25 years or something like that, 20 years, whatever. It's been a long fucking time. The Jets have the longest stretch of years missing the playoffs in the NFL. The Jets are terrible. Trying to think of some other teams that miss the playoffs fairly regularly or haven't been there that often in the last few years. I mean, you've got the Colts, haven't been a great team for the last few years after Andrew Luck retired. Obviously, this year they're playing really well, but that's another story. The Titans were the number 1 seed back in 2020 with Mike Vrabel and Derrick Henry and Ryan Tannehill, and then all those guys left. They got rid of Ryan Tannehill, and they sucked. They've been a bad team for the last few years. The Jaguars have been a bad team. They made the playoffs once, but they got blown out. So if you go around and look, the Browns have made the playoffs twice, which is 2 more than some teams. Again, look at some teams that haven't even made the playoffs in a long time, like the Jets. And that's more than other teams that have only been there once in the last 5 years. So I know it's not, you're not hanging banners for playoff appearances. It's how I feel about the Guardians too. But I think it's fair to not be so harsh on these guys because this is the most successful Browns regime we've had in my lifetime since I've been watching. I didn't start watching the Browns till they came back in 99. I was too young to watch when they left in 95. And when I started liking football, I was an Oilers/Titans fan because of Eddie George. So since the Browns have been around and I've been watching, which I credit 1999, they've been to the playoffs 3 times. 2 of them within the last 5 years with this regime, with Baker Mayfield, with a bunch of... So, okay, cool. You want to give all the credit to John Dorsey for the 2020 roster? Fine. That's great. Go ahead. I don't give a fuck. Still, the head coach was Kevin Stefanski, and the GM at that time was Andrew Berry. They made the playoffs. Fast forward to 2023, Andrew Berry, GM, Kevin Stefanski, head coach, 3 years removed from John Dorsey. So his fingerprints weren't as prominent on this team, made the playoffs. 2 out of 5 years. That's not bad for the Browns. That's the thing. These fans act like we're some fucking great organization that has these high standards of Super Bowl or bust every. We're not the Kansas City Chiefs. We're not a fucking dynasty. But there's fans out there that act like that are like, what have they done lately? They haven't made the playoffs in 2 years. That's pretty fucking good for the Cleveland Browns. And I'm not trying to act like it's just a low bar we have to go at, but I think that shows you that these guys are pretty competent and if given an opportunity. And I think I kind of went on a tangent there, but the original point I was trying to get, I think if you give Kevin Stefanski his own quarterback, that's what they're kind of going for, in my opinion. That's the plan of what's happening right now. They plan for the future. This year is a wash. Jacksonville's, a decent team. I think they're 3-2 or something like that, or 4-2, whatever. I don't know the record off the top of my head, but they're a little better than most people anticipated. Travis Hunter's not doing anything, so that trade doesn't look bad yet. But they are all in for a quarterback. Kevin Stefanski is going to get to draft a first-round quarterback with Andrew Berry. And again, conspiracy theory, what I was getting at, I think they finally told Paul DePodesta to take a step back. This year's draft class was so good, top to bottom, that every player, for the most part, is contributing. Makes me feel like there's something different. And that, to me, my common denominator would be that Paul DePodesta step back and let Andrew Berry draft his team. And that's why they have, Mason Graham in that trade back. Fantastic move for the Browns. Carson Schlesinger, arguably one of the best linebackers in football, not only just rookies. He's currently one of the best linebackers, at least for, most tackles, which is a good stat. You want a guy that can tackle. He does that very well. Quinshon Judkins is arguably the best rookie running back in the NFL. Harold Fannin, best rookie tight end in the NFL, give or take. Depends on who you look at. Tyler Warren's up there too. Then you have Gabriel, who's, again, a good backup quarterback, and that's a very important position. There are people out there that bitch and moan and go, "Oh, you can't waste a third-round pick on a backup quarterback. That's a waste. They should have taken an offensive lineman or a wide receiver." And then I ask the people, I go, without Googling it, tell me who was there during that pick that they could have gotten that would be that's making an impact on another team. And they have no idea. They just want to take a position. That's the other thing, too, is the fans just look at the position when they're drafting and go, well, we really suck. You got to take an offensive tackle here. It's like, okay, well, do you actually draft study? Because what if there's not a player that's even worth a fuck there? There might be an offensive tackle that is on the board that's most teams have a second-round grade on, but you have the 10th overall pick or whatever, and you're going, Browns should have taken a fucking lineman there, dude. Like, no, you don't just draft a guy because you need that position. You follow your board. That's what good teams do. And I think the Browns did that this year. Taking a defensive tackle at number 5 might not have been the sexiest pick. Maybe they could have gotten Mbenu, or however you say his name, from the Jets, the offensive tackle that they have, who looks like a very good offensive tackle. Would be really great for the Browns for their future. But at the time, the Browns had a healthy Jack Conklin. The Browns had a healthy DeJuan Jones. You don't draft scared and go, well, we're going to take this guy, even though if you guys stay healthy all season, he's never going to play. So we're going to waste a top 10 draft pick on a guy who's never going to play because you might get hurt. They look at it and go, Mason Graham was, again, as I said when they drafted him, he was a consensus top 5 draft pick for the entire 2024 season leading up to the 2025 draft. Pretty high draft pick. Membu from the Jets was up and down. I saw him on mock drafts from anywhere from like the late 20s when the draft process first started. Then he started shooting up boards to like give or take the 10th pick, and then he was possible to be the first tackle taken off the board instead of what's his name? Will Campbell? Was that his name? The guy that the tackle that the Patriots took? I think that's his name. Whatever. But then he shot up the draft board a little bit and went to the Jets with pick number, I don't know, 7 or whatever the fuck, wherever he went. But there's fans out there that just say that. They just go, okay, with your first pick, take a wide receiver. With your second pick, take an offensive tackle, without knowing who the fucking players are. This year's draft class, to be honest, 2026, as of right now today, not a great offensive line class. So to just say take an offensive tackle, there needs to be one worth a fucking pick. And we'll get into all that as we get closer to draft. But I'm expressing my disdain for stupid Browns fans this week that I've been dealing with, because that's the same thing. They're like, Andrew Berry fucking sucks. Why doesn't he have this offensive line in better shape? It's like, well, because we have multiple guys that are injured for long periods of time. You can't really plan that ahead. Then I saw a guy, Tony Rizzo, today was going, Andrew, you're trading players for all these crappy draft picks because you traded Joe Flacco, you traded Greg Newsome. Get me a damn tackle. All right, well, he did that. He traded a 6th-round pick or whatever, 7th-round pick last week, 2 weeks ago, to get you Cam Robinson, who is trying to learn the playbook. He's trying to learn the offense because clearly he's struggling. He's lining up wrong. He's jumping, or he's having false starts because he's not acclimated with the team yet. It takes time. So he traded for an offensive tackle. They're trying to get this guy playing. It's not that easy. There are no teams out there that have a really, really good tackle that are going to go, hey, we don't want him anymore. You can just take him. Teams don't do that. It's fucking so much easier said than done to think Andrew Berry can just call around and be like, hey, I need a really good starting left tackle. Can you give me one for cheap? And teams are going to be like, yeah, let me see what I got. Most teams don't have a plethora of good offensive linemen. They have a handful at best in their starting 5, and then they have a bunch of spare parts. Most teams don't have 2 great left tackles sitting on the roster. You might have one good one, and then you got a decent one behind him that you hope never has to see the field. But when they do, you're kind of fucked. That's how every team is in the NFL. Look at the Eagles, for God's sake. The Eagles were the Super Bowl winners last year. They were, 4-0 when they came into the season. Got some injury happening on their offensive and defensive line. They don't have the talent to back those guys up because that's just impossible in the NFL to have that kind of depth. If you start getting some injuries, it's really hard to overcome that. Look at the fucking Ravens. The Ravens are banged up as hell. They're 1-5, same record as the Cleveland Browns because they're banged the fuck up. It's hard to overcome that in the NFL. Now, I'm not defending anything. Obviously, again, I think the Browns' intentions were to not be good this year because they want to get Kevin Stefanski, his franchise quarterback. Kevin Stefanski came to the Cleveland Browns. He had Baker Mayfield, who he did not draft, who I think we can all agree was a project. Obviously he had so many ups and downs. Clearly he had, we can all admit this. Again, I'm not trying to sound like I'm ragging on Baker. I'm just being honest about the time frame and what happened with Kevin Stefanski being here. Baker Mayfield was never great here. He had some good times. He had some bad times. He was okay with Freddie Kitchens. He was okay with Kevin Stefanski. He was okay with Hugh Jackson. He was never great. So they moved on. They got Deshaun Watson. While Deshaun Watson was suspended, we had Jacoby Brissett. Jacoby Brissett had probably his best year as a starter in the NFL under Stefanski. And then he went to the bench because of Deshaun coming back, and Deshaun never turned into himself. Then you go to the next year, same thing. You have Deshaun Watson who's stinking up the place, so you got to move on to P.J. Walker. P.J. Walker's not a good quarterback, so you do what you can with the guy. You win some games, you lose some games, you hope for the best. Deshaun Watson comes in. Deshaun Watson wins the game against the Ravens, out for the year, so you go back to P.J. Walker. P.J. Walker gets hurt or stinks. I don't remember why they moved on from him. I think he got hurt. So what did the Browns do? The Browns go for Joe Flacco. Joe Flacco comes in, plays well, gets you to the playoffs. And I use that term loosely. If you really go back and pay attention, Joe Flacco didn't play that well. He played fine. He was, good enough to do what he needed to do. And then the lights got a little brighter in that Houston playoff game. And obviously, chickens came home to roost in that one. Then you fast forward and you get Deshaun Watson again. Deshaun Watson gets hurt again. So then you have to go to DTR. Bailey Zappi played a little bit. Jameis Winston played a little bit. So you just have all these fucking free agent, pull away quarterbacks. Kevin Stefanski's never gotten his hands on his own rookie quarterback with franchise aspirations. Obviously, you can say now he's got Dylan Gabriel. He had DTR a couple years ago. Now he's got Shador. So yes, he's had rookie quarterbacks, but not franchise quarterbacks. I think we can all agree that there are two very different things. I'm not expecting Kevin Stefanski to turn Dylan Gabriel into a franchise quarterback. I feel like that's foolish. Same with Shador. Same with DTR when we had him. I wasn't expecting him to turn these guys into superstars. I'm realistic. So, with that being said, the talk of the town again was just, it's everybody, the laziest take in sports is fire the head coach. That's just the laziest take. Because what does that do? Do you think this Browns roster is good enough to win more than 5 games? I don't. And I'm being generous at 5. I'm looking ahead at the schedule. Dolphins is a winnable game. Am I giving them the win? No, but it's a winnable game. Next week against the Patriots, that's like a 75-25 loss, if I had to guess. But you have a little bit of a shot to win against the Patriots. They're a younger team. They could make some mistakes. They give up a lot of punt returns. Not that the Browns have good special teams by any stretch, but they make mistakes. So that's a winnable. I mean, they almost lost to the Saints last week. So they're a beatable team. Do I think the Browns will beat them? No, we'll get into that next week. But the Browns play the Jets. That's a winnable game. The Jets are completely winless. They're the only winless team in the NFL right now, are the New York Jets, and that's a game you could win. So there's hypothetically, maybe the Browns let's say they beat the Dolphins, they beat the Jets, you're 2 wins right there, or 3 wins, I'm sorry. Then they play the Ravens, who knows? I don't know if Lamar's going to be back by then. That's on the 16th of November. Who knows? We'll just say a loss, okay? We'll say a loss. Then they play the Raiders. That's a winnable game. Geno Smith leads the league in turnovers. The Raiders aren't a good team. If the Browns defense shows up and the offense does just enough, winnable game. So right there, maybe you get your 4th win. 49ers at Browns. I don't know. The 49ers are hurt as fuck. They are without Fred Warner now, who dislocated and broke his ankle. He's out for the year. That's a nasty injury. Just another nail in the coffin for them, but we'll say that's a loss. Then the Titans come to Cleveland. Winnable game. So maybe that's your 5th win right there. You get 5 wins in the season. Browns and Bears, loss. Bills, Browns, loss. Steelers at Browns. Maybe a win, because maybe by then Steelers clinch and they're benching guys. And then January 4th, Browns at Bengals. Who knows who the Bengals quarterback is going to be at that point? They could be back to Jake Browning, who's serviceable. But so I'll just say right there, maybe 5 wins max. Do you think trade or firing Kevin Stefanski today gets you more wins than that? No, it doesn't. Excuse me. And love him or hate him, if you fire Kevin Stefanski, usually when you fire your head coach, the new regime comes in and they clean house. They want their own coordinators. So you're costing your team Jim Schwartz. I know the defense has had some blunders over the last couple of weeks, but Jim Schwartz has been pretty good for this Browns defense. If you fire Stefanski, Jim Schwartz is gone. So take for that what you will. But yeah, this team's maybe a 4 to 5 win team right now with Kevin Stefanski. Firing Kevin Stefanski, you're a 4 to 5 win team. Again, maybe even worse because I don't know who the interim head coach will be. Technically, Bubba Ventrone has the assistant head coaching position in his contract because that's the only way we could get him from Indianapolis. So I think by default, unless they fired him too, he's your head coach. So Bubba Ventrone would be your head coach. Is that what you really want for the rest of the season? You guys want to watch the Browns lose every week with Bubba Ventrone as your head coach instead of Stefanski? I don't. I think Kevin Stefanski should be given a grace for this year. I think behind closed doors, this was all the plan. This was the plan all along, was to tank, and they're going all in for a quarterback next year. So I don't think Kevin Stefanski gets fired. Things could change. If this Sunday they lose to the Dolphins and it's ugly and fans are booing them off the fucking field, I could see Jimmy being a little, I won't even say irrational, because if he wants to fire Kevin Stefanski, that's fine. I get it. The overall record has not been great. We've had 2 good seasons, but obviously some raw deals. The Deshaun Watson trade was a huge blow up. Is that on the head coach that a guy who was accused of 27 or whatever sexual assault cases just doesn't have it anymore and is just cooked mentally and can't stay healthy? Is that Kevin Stefanski's fault? I don't think so. Personally, I don't blame him for that. But fans do. Someone has to be held accountable. There has to be a fall guy. And, we'll see how it goes. I'm starting to think, just because of it's just nonstop, every fucking radio show, every tweet, everything is fire Stefanski. So I hope Jimmy Haslam's not reading Twitter and listening to ESPN 850 Cleveland to get his thoughts, but who knows? Crazier things have happened. If the truth is that he had a homeless man tell him to draft Johnny Manziel, then, things are a little worse off in Cleveland than I thought, but we'll see how it goes. So that's my rant right there. Again, you lose this game on Sunday in an embarrassing fashion to the Dolphins, who are also 1-5, who are probably going to be firing Mike McDaniel soon because the teammates or the players are calling out other teammates, and it's a shit show in Miami. If you lose this game, you could get fired, but do they want to lose this game? Is that the plan? I don't know. When you have a 5'11" rookie quarterback and you throw the ball 52 times in Pittsburgh, I think you're trying to lose, personally. So we'll see. But as I mentioned, as soon as we got off the air last week, as we were getting all nestled into bed, my phone starts going crazy because the Browns traded Greg Newsome to the Jacksonville Jaguars for Tyson Campbell, another cornerback from the Jacksonville Jaguars. The difference in these two players, they were taken in the same draft. They were both taken in the 2021 NFL draft. Greg Newsome was taken in the first round. Tyson Campbell was taken in the second round, just a few picks later. With that being said, as a first-round pick, Greg Newsome gets a fifth-year option, which is what he is currently playing on. Tyson Campbell did not. So Tyson Campbell, after his fourth year, had to sign a contract extension with the Jacksonville Jaguars, and they obliged. They gave him one. The only problem is Jacksonville changed their defensive coordinator. Their defensive coordinator switched from a man scheme, which Tyson Campbell was very good at, to a zone scheme, which Tyson Campbell's not good at. The Browns try to play man, which Greg Newsome's not great at. He's a good zone corner. Perfect. In my opinion, this trade was a win-win for both teams. The Browns were not paying Greg Newsome next year a big contract. He'd be getting 20-something plus $1 million probably, and they were not going to pay him that. And Tyson Campbell is under a contract where the Jags are paying a hefty chunk of his guaranteed money, so he can basically be cut at any time from the Browns if they so choose. And it's a win-win trade. If for those of you that watched on Sunday, he had some really good moments and he had some really bad moments. I don't expect a guy to come in on day one after being in Cleveland for 3 days and be great. I think it takes some time to get adjusted to the playbook. So again, the NFL is probably the hardest sport to get traded in mid-season to go and adapt to another team, because baseball is pretty simple. If you're a baseball player, you play your position. Everything's kind of the same. You just listen to what the manager says. Do you want me to play in on the infield, or whatever position you are? Do you want me to play in? Do you want me to play back? Do we need to shift? It's baseball. It's pretty. I'm not saying it's simple by any stretch, but it's one of the easier ones to get acclimated with a new team. You bat and you play defense. It's the same because you're on your own. Football, you have to know everything, because if you fuck up a play or a coverage, you screw everybody. In basketball, kind of similar. Basketball is kind of like, here, we're gonna make the offense really simple for everybody to get acclimated. Let me know where you like the ball. It takes some time to get adjusted, but it's much easier than football. So again, a win-win trade in my opinion. I think it was a good move for the Browns to get rid of that contract and to not lose depth at that position. It was a wash. We got rid of a guy who has played up and down for the Browns. And I'm not one to pile on Greg Newsome. I know he gave up that long touchdown to Jackson Smith and Jigba first thing on Sunday. His very first snap as a Jag was a 60-yard touchdown that he gave up. I'm not going to pile on the guy. Again, same thing. It's tough. It's his first fucking play as a Jacksonville Jaguar, and he's going up against one of the best receivers in football in JSN, and he got burned. It happens. Tyson Campbell came to Cleveland, looked decent in a couple plays, broke up a couple passes, and then got burned on a touchdown. He got burned on another. Well, he tripped on one play that could have been a touchdown, but Metcalf got overthrown. But then he did end up giving up a touchdown to Metcalf later. So good and bad. I'm not holding my breath or holding it against him. I'm sorry. In his first game, give me a couple of weeks. I'd say after the bye week, he should be pretty acclimated with the team. And then breaking news yesterday came out of nowhere is David Bell retired from football. David Bell, of course, that you guys know, had some pretty gruesome injuries with the Cleveland Browns. He was a third-round pick wide receiver out of Purdue a couple of years ago. I think he broke his pelvic bone or his hip or something like that in a game last year and was trying to make a comeback. He was on the PUP list and was trying to make a comeback for the season. And then I don't know what happened. I'm waiting to hear a story. Apparently he had a class action lawsuit off the field with an off-field injury that he suffered, where he was basically told he could never play football again. So very curious to find out what happened in that situation, because I don't know anything about it. I knew he was hurt from his injury from football, and they were just waiting for him to come back. And then all of a sudden he retires, and in his press release, he said, he had an off-field injury. And I was like, what the fuck was that? I didn't know anything about that. So, shout out to David Bell. He had a couple really cool catches for us. The big touchdown against the Jacksonville Jaguars. Kind of it. He had good hands, but he just overall wasn't very fast. He was an average receiver at best. Nothing against the guy by any stretch, but also wasn't an impactful player that's really going to be missed now that he's gone. But definitely wish him the best in his future endeavors. But yeah, randomly just out of nowhere, done, retired. Just saw the release yesterday. I'm like, what the fuck is this? So he's gone. There's your Browns news for the week. All right, let's get into week 6 picks. We'll go over everything and give everybody the scores here at home. So as you can see, let me, why is it not letting me do that? There we go. All right, let me zoom my screen here a little bit. And we have Thursday Night Football. The Philadelphia Eagles got their asses kicked by the New York Giants. We all had Philly, so that's a big L for all three of the amigos here.
Yeah, what the hell is that crap about?
I didn't realize how bad the Eagles are internally. They apparently hate each other. There's a lot of infighting. There's players-only meetings. It's supposedly that A.J. Brown comes out afterwards and says, no, we never had a players-only meeting. They hate their offensive coordinator. Saquon Barkley doesn't get the ball anymore. Their defense is shitty.
I blame Bryce. Bryce picked up the Eagles' defense a couple of weeks ago, and they've been crap ever since. He needs to cut them.
I hope that it's just a Super Bowl hangover and that they don't come close to repeating. I'd be very happy about that. So Philly gets a huge loss against the Giants. We all took an L on that one. Denver barely holds on to beat the Jets only because Aaron Glenn is one of the worst head coaches in NFL football history. He truly might not survive a full season as their head coach just because of how poor he is with his decision-making. I was able to watch some of it. We were up at that Fall Fest, but I would check my phone periodically, and I was like, okay, they're midfield. It's almost halftime. What are they going to do? All of a sudden, I check the score, and I see they did nothing, and I'm like, the fuck? They just kind of let the clock run out and didn't do anything to attempt even a Hail Mary. And then at the end of the game, it is 4th and 7, and they don't even think about a field goal. They drop back with Justin Fields, who gets sacked at an alarming rate, and he takes a sack on 4th down to end the game. So Denver comes out of London with a cheap win, and they'll take it. And I'm sure the Jets aren't too happy. Woody Johnson's got to be pretty pissed because it's just an embarrassing performance. Again, Aaron Glenn has not done anything to prove that he deserves to be an NFL head coach this season. But with that being said, we all took Denver, so that's a clean sweep for the boys here. Indianapolis hangs on to beat Arizona late with a good win there. Indy keeps the train rolling. Arizona was with Jacoby Brissett at quarterback, and he held his own, but not enough. We all had a clean sweep there. The Chargers with the last-second field goal against the Miami Dolphins, who the Browns play this week, and that's a scary thing. The Miami Dolphins are 1-5, but they've lost all of their games, if I'm not mistaken, by like 1 score. They've been in every game. It's just sometimes that's the way the cookie crumbles, and they're having a rough season in that aspect. So for Browns fans that think this Sunday is just going to be a walk in the park because Miami's record, they don't actually know the team. They're not a bad team. The Dolphins, again, they're without Tyreek Hill. But Darren Waller found the fountain of youth. They still have Jalen Waddle. They have Devon Achane. They've got a really good running attack. Mike McDaniel knows how to lead a run game for sure, a zone blocking scheme. And defensively, though, they are trash. It is supposed to be very wet in Cleveland on Sunday, so that might play into the Browns' favor if it's a ground game because their defense is shitty. So we'll see what happens. But they held their own with Los Angeles. Los Angeles came into the game as one of the better teams in the NFL, and they needed a last-second field goal to get that W. But another clean sweep for your boys. And then New England beats New Orleans 25-19, a much closer game than most people probably anticipated because, as I said earlier, I do believe that New England is good, but they are a beatable team. But they hold on for the 25-19 win against New Orleans and another sweep for the boys. Dallas loses to the Carolina Panthers in a last-second field goal. Dallas is a Jekyll and Hyde team that just I can't get a read on at all. We all take a loss on that one. Seattle and Jacksonville, I drank the Kool-Aid and thought Jacksonville would get the W, and they choked. Kyle took Seattle plus 1.5, and he double-dipped on that one with a big L for me and Georgie boy. The Rams beat the Ravens 17-3, not even close, that one. Tennessee, another not even close game. Realistically, the scoreboard looks a little better than it actually was. Las Vegas wins 20-10. Cincinnati loses to Green Bay 27-18. Not quite the 14.5 George had it at, but that's what happens when your team has a big lead and they go to prevent. Some teams are bound to score because that game, again, wasn't as close as the score indicates. Yes, they needed a late field goal for Green Bay to really put it out of reach, but the game was never really close, in my opinion. Tampa Bay beats the shit out of the Niners, who, again, the Niners are doomed. I don't know what's going on with them. They just cannot stay healthy. It's just one week after another, there's a key guy going down for the season, and that's scary. That sucks. I'm a huge Fred Warner fan. I love watching him play football, so seeing him go down with that injury was tough. You feel bad for him. But Tampa Bay gets the W 30-19. Mac Jones didn't do the Niners any favors either with all of his turnovers. Detroit goes to Kansas City and poops down their leg 30-17. They take the L there. We were all wrong. We all took Detroit. I took Detroit plus the points because I thought, well, Kansas City hasn't looked that good this year. Then they go out and look like Super Bowl contenders again. And then Monday Night Football, we all got swept in the loss department because it was upset special. Atlanta wins 24-14 and Chicago wins 25-24. And that is your Week 6 recap. With that being said, let me do the scores here really quickly. So I had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 9, and 9. Nope, sorry. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 9 and 6. I went 9 and 6. My score last week was 49 and 31. That puts me at 58 and 37 on the season. Kyle last week went 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. He went 9 and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 9 and 6 also because he got that bonus point. So he got a bonus. I did not. Yeah, you didn't either. That puts Kyle at, what do you get, 63 and 31. So I'm inching. I'm getting closer. George went 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 6. Okay, yeah, let me double check. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yep. George, you went 6 and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yep. Well, I always get confused because we have the extra the spread pick on there. So I just want to make sure I count everything properly. So 6 and 9 for George, and you are now 49 and 30.
How ironic.
49 and 45.
49.
49ers having a rough season as well. So we'll get into week 7 picks in a little bit, but those were your week 6 recaps. Really quick, baseball is going on right now, and the Dodgers are up 2-0 against the Brewers, as we kind of projected that the Brewers will come down to reality when they face a legitimate contender, because I don't think the Padres were, and I don't think the Cubs were. So now they're facing the Dodgers, 2-0. Dodgers look like the best team in baseball by far. Seattle snuck by Detroit last week in a fantastic series, and then they are now taking on the Blue Jays, and the Seattle Mariners to have a 2-0 lead. They stole both games in Toronto, so that's a crazy series right now. That game just started. It is the bottom of the first inning, 0-0. That is your postseason picture for the 2025 playoffs. The Las Vegas Aces sweep. They win another championship. Asia Wilson is named MVP. Great team. They're just fucking so good. I mean, honest to God, they're so good. Asia Wilson's the best player in the league by far. Looking forward to next season, though. Hopefully, Caitlin Clark can come back healthy and help compete, because even with her missing, the Indiana Fever were still a pretty good team, and Caitlin Clark is really fun to watch. So hopefully next year for the WNBA, that will be the case. Switching to the men's side of things, the Cavaliers finish off their preseason, yesterday with a big win against the Pistons. And Kyle's not here today, but the season is kicking off next week. So I wanted to do some predictions. I think the season actually starts. Let me see. When does the end? NBA schedule. I think it starts next Wednesday. Am I wrong? Let me look up NBA schedule here for regular season. I need regular season. Stop showing me that preseason bullshit. Tuesday, October 21st. Okay, so there will be one night of basketball to start the season off. So we'll do next week. We'll do a prediction for the who we think is going to win the East, the West, MVP, Rookie of the Year, Coach of the Year, etc. We'll do all of our predictions next week when Kyle's back with me. And then again, that will be our last show for 2 weeks, because I'm going on vacation, then Kyle's going on vacation, and we just decided we'll take those 2 weeks off together to keep everything balanced and give ourselves a little bit of a break, which will be cool. I mean, don't get me wrong, if the Browns win any games in that stretch, I will do a buzzball, presumably. I am going to be flying down. I don't think they'll beat the Patriots, but I will be flying to Disney the day of that game. So I don't know where I'll be or if I'll have a buzzball, because I'm obviously not going to fly with one, but maybe if they have one on the plane. So the Browns will be playing the Patriots on the 26th, and I'll be gone. So we'll figure it all out, but we will be off for those 2 weeks. So, yeah, the Cavaliers in the preseason have looked pretty good. They're the team to beat. Again, we'll talk about all this in a little more detail next week when we have the full staff. So, with that being said, did the 2-run home run Julio Rodriguez? The Mariners strike first. Damn. It's crazy to think about the Mariners going to the World Series. I don't think they've ever done that, or they've never won it or something like that. I forgot. But with that being said, though, we are here for week 7 of the NFL picks. Kyle has not sent me his picks yet, and Polanco hits a ground rule double. Shane Bieber is getting shelled. Kyle did say he will get me in his picks, though, but he has not sent them in yet, so that is no problem at all. We will get those sometime. But for the meantime, we do have me and George, and we will do our picks. As you can see there, Buffalo and Baltimore are on a bye. Pittsburgh and Cincinnati take on each other tomorrow night, Thursday Night Football, the Battle of the Old Heads. You've got Joe Flacco, and you've got Aaron Rodgers. Some shots were fired this week from Mike Tomlin a little bit. He talked a little bit about the Browns trading Joe Flacco, which I feel like was him just trying to, I don't even know what he was trying to do, to be honest. He basically said, he called out Andrew Berry, and he's like, I don't know, Andrew Berry must be smarter than me and all of us because, trading your who you thought was your starting quarterback to a division rival this early in the season is not something we would do or whatever. Like, he threw a little shade towards the Browns. Instantly, people ran with that, and they kind of took it as, oh, he's talking shit. But in actuality, I think what he was kind of getting at was he's pissed that we did that because he would rather play Jake Browning. And rightfully so. Jake Browning played in like 3 games, and Jake Browning was second in the NFL in interceptions. So they took a guy who was third in the NFL in interceptions instead. So good for the Bengals. The Browns fans are out there still bitching and moaning about the trade for a guy in Joe Flacco who was never, ever, ever going to touch the field again for the Cleveland Browns. I think that's pretty glaringly obvious that his time in Cleveland was done. So getting a 4th-round pick for him, or a 5th-round pick, was better than anything you could have expected. There was no other option for Joe Flacco. And there's fans out there that don't understand what the Browns' plan was. I think I've said this multiple times. I'm kind of getting sick of it. The Kenny Pickett trade was to be the starter until a rookie came into play. Simple. Kenny Pickett couldn't stay healthy. Kenny Pickett couldn't play. He had a bad hamstring. Browns weren't willing to risk having to start Dylan Gabriel day one, so they said, we need somebody else. They got Joe Flacco. Obviously, Flacco was here by then, but they decided to go, you're the starter then. So, really not that complicated. There's a lot of Browns fans out there that are acting like this is crazy breaking news, but again, to me, it is not. Thank you, George. I was just about to look up the spreads myself. So, as you could see from last week, as I talked about, the Bengals got Joe Flacco, and yes, he had only been there for 3 days, but Vegas had the spread at 14.5. 14.5. That's crazy. That's how little they thought of Joe Flacco going to the Bengals. It gave them arguably the biggest spread in the NFL this season. So they're
suckered me.
Yeah, it got some people, but it just shows you that there are a lot of people out there that, in Vegas in particular, that don't see this trade as some great thing. And I don't know. I'm not worried about Joe Flacco playing quarterback for the Cincinnati Bengals. That doesn't strike fear in me whatsoever. I don't think we traded them a playoff appearance, essentially. And if so, great. The higher the draft, or the lower the draft pick the Bengals have, the better odds of them getting a shittier player. So I don't care. I'm glad we helped them stay out of the top 5 in the draft. It's not a bad thing. Last time they were there, they got fucking Jamar Chase. I don't want that happening again. So keep them back. With that being said, though, the Pittsburgh Steelers do go to Cincinnati on Thursday Night Football tomorrow night, and they're 5-1. Until I see otherwise, I have no reason to pick against the Pittsburgh Steelers. The Bengals are 2-4, and I have every reason to pick against them. So I am going with the Pittsburgh Steelers to win this one tomorrow night.
No, I'm taking Cincy.
Bold choice.
I know.
Their defense is bad, Cincy's. I think Rodgers will have a pretty easy day with them.
They're both bad.
Yeah, but Rodgers can get the ball out a little faster than Flacco, and that's exactly how they beat the Browns. I mean, a lot of people were shitting on Myles Garrett for not showing up. I saw Chipper's posts where he was like, oh, where was Myles Garrett? Obviously, their game plan was to put 6 offensive linemen out there, and Aaron Rodgers got the ball out in 2 seconds. So unless he could teleport, Myles Garrett wasn't really getting to Aaron Rodgers. That was their whole game plan. It was up to everybody else to make a stop, and they didn't. So if they do,
the going average, by the way, for him.
Yeah, he's the fastest release in the NFL.
Release in the NFL. I'm like, are you kidding me? Really?
No, he's slinging it, and he gets it out quick. So it's helping. Obviously, they're doing something right there. And Trey Hendrickson's been banged up for the last a couple of weeks, so I think he might be less impactful for the Bengals on defense, and everybody else on their defense is pretty shitty. They just benched Logan Wilson, so they've got a lot of issues going on there in Cincinnati on the defensive side, especially. Joe Flacco still, he's only been there a week, and now he's starting his second game already. So I feel like advantage Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh was able to kind of take the foot off the gas in the game on Sunday against the Browns. Cincinnati had to kind of go full tilt to the very end, trying to make a comeback. I feel like that might add a little exhaustion to Cincinnati on this short week, although they are the home team, and that usually bodes well for the home teams on Thursday Night Football. But in this instance, I'll take Mike Tomlin over Zach Taylor any day of the week in a coaching head-to-head. So give me the Steelers. Next up, we move on to the Rams at the Jacksonville Jaguars, the London game. This one, if you would have asked me last week, I would have taken the Rams all day and all night because of Puka Nacua being the offensive player of the year. Puka Nacua is probably going to be missing some time now. That's a huge loss for that offense. With that being said, though, give me the Rams.
Dude, what's the number one rule about Jacksonville and being overseas? Yeah.
Different coach, different players. Doesn't matter.
Give me Jacksonville.
I watched them get their ass kicked a couple times over there, so I'm okay with picking against them.
Nope.
What does Vegas have it? I didn't even see it. Oh, yeah, Vegas even has the Rams.
Stafford can't do it by himself.
He's still got Devontae Adams now. He's got Kieran Williams. I think they're going to be just fine. The Jags are without Devin Lloyd, who's their best linebacker, best defensive player by far. He had the 2 weeks in a row with the pick sixes. He had the big pick six against the Chiefs. He's hurt. He has a thigh injury or something like that. He's not even traveling with them. So they're a little banged up. And again, I'm not a believer in the Jacksonville Jaguars. I know that they were on a good run for a little bit, but I feel like maybe reality is going to set in here. So I'm comfortable. Give me the Rams, baby. Next up, New Orleans at Chicago. I cannot take New Orleans in any game. I will take Chicago all day on all night here.
Yeah, New Orleans kind of scared me a little playing New England. I'm sitting here.
They can score. They can move the football a little bit, but they find ways to lose. They find ways to lose.
I'm taking the Bears.
Yeah, I don't blame you. Next up, we have New England at Tennessee. New England is a 6.5 point favorite. I will take them just on the money line, though. Give me New England.
Yeah, same here. I'm not touching that spread.
No.
No.
Speaking of, here's a big one for you, George, if you want it again. You got Vegas at Kansas City, 12.5. Not even as much as the Joe Flacco Bengals. That's how crazy this is. I will take Kansas City straight up, not touching that line. That is way too much to toy around with.
No, give me the line, too. I'll take KC on the line. Give it to me.
Okay.
I like him big. That's what she said.
Don't we all? Next up, you have Philly at Minnesota. It looks like J.J. McCarthy might be returning. But even still, you have the Eagles with only a -1.5 favorite. That's kind of weird, but normally I'm looking at this going, I really like that spread, but at the same time, I'm like, I don't trust Philly right now, so I'm not touching it. But
yeah, Minnesota's defense is nothing to sneeze about either, and
no. But if the Browns showed one thing against the Minnesota defense, is that you can run on them. Passing wise, Philly's not they can pass when they need to.
You want Philly to do what? You want Philly to do what? You want them to run the ball? Oh.
I think they will now with Barkley. They'll finally figure it out, because when Barkley gets the ball, good things happen. I think they need to straighten the ship after that game against the Giants. So I think they figure it out. I don't know. Give me Philly. I don't trust McCarthy or Wentz against the Philadelphia Eagles. I don't know who's even going to be playing, but I really don't like J.J. McCarthy as a quarterback, so I'm going with Philly just out of good faith.
Yeah, so am I.
And then next up, we have Carolina at New York. Carolina, a -1.5 favorite. These two teams, Carolina's looked really good sometimes. They've looked really bad sometimes. Jets have looked pretty much bad all the time, but I still don't trust Carolina enough to touch a spread, but I will take them to keep the Jets winless. Give me Carolina.
No, I'm taking the Jets on this one.
First W of the season.
I'm a little leery. Yep. I'm a little leery on Carolina at the moment. I just can't trust. I mean, you got your kicker, the only one doing knuckleballs. I mean, that's one thing, but I mean, everything else, it's take your pick. I mean, Dowdle's had a couple great weeks in a row. But
Chuba Hubbard's back this week now.
Yeah, Hubbard's back, so it's like, well, okay. And I don't trust the New York turf with those guys. So, yeah, give me the Jets.
Okay, that's fair. Next up, we have New York at Denver. Give me the Denver Broncos in this one. I think they are going to put Jackson Dart and Cam Scatabo back to reality.
Yeah, they can't breathe in that thin air. Give me Denver.
Next up, we have the Colts at the Chargers. This is a pretty good game. This one's tough. Are the Chargers good? And are the Colts who they pretend to be? I don't know. We'll find out. This is a pretty simple pick'em game.
The Chargers, by the way, are wearing the Color Rush, the Lightning Bolt yellow.
I saw that. They look like the Savannah Bananas. They're hideous. I
like it. I like it.
Herbert
jersey actually is the Color Rush jersey. I actually own.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I have the color. I love yellow. Yellow is one of my favorite colors. So
I mean, I saw the pictures of Herbert wearing them today. The Chargers sent it out. They were funny. I think it was Mike Florio from Pro Football Talk. He tweeted a picture of the Savannah Bananas after it on purpose. I thought it was kind of funny, but they do look cool. I like the Chargers uniforms. I like their color scheme. But this one's pretty close to a pick'em. I always take the home team in a pick'em for the most part, unless I have a better feeling about something. And I have a good feeling about the Chargers here, or not a good feeling, but I like the Chargers at home. Just because I don't know. Are the Colts real? I don't know. Give me the Chargers.
I'm gonna go with Indiana Jones on this one. I agree. It's a coin flip, 100%. But I'm gonna take Indiana Jones on this one.
All right. Next up, we have another one that Vegas has pretty much as a pick 'em, but I don't trust Dallas. I refuse to take them now until I can actually see them put together a good game. I'm going to go with Washington. I think Washington needs to bounce back. They had a lot of mistakes on Monday Night Football because of the rain. Dallas, it will be inside. I think the Washington Commanders right the ship. Give me the Commandos.
I agree with you 150%, sir.
All right. Next up, we have Green Bay at Arizona. I don't know if Kyler Murray is going to be playing or not yet. That's still to be determined. Jacoby Brissett shows, though, that he is a serviceable backup quarterback and can keep them in contention. Marvin Harrison left the game last week with a concussion. More than likely will not be playing this week. That was a pretty nasty hit to his head. With that being said, I will take Green Bay on the road.
Yeah, Kyler Murray, it's kind of ironic. Wasn't there a video game release that also had just recently happened?
Battlefield came out, but that's a different game. He doesn't play that. He's a Call of Duty guy.
I don't know.
It was a double XP weekend, though, last weekend, because we were all playing Call of Duty for hours, and it was double XP. I can confirm.
So I'm just saying, I'm with you. I think Kyler's still stuck on the headset. Give me Green Bay.
All right. Gotcha there. Next up, we have Atlanta at San Francisco on Sunday Night Football.
How?
I don't know.
San Fran favored by 2.5.
I don't get it. And how are we not flexing games yet? Because nobody wants to watch this one.
Hey. Listen, my football stuff is over. Bryce's stuff is over. I get to actually sit home for the first time.
The Niners season is over too.
I get to watch football for a change. On Sunday, I will get to watch football. So guess what?
I don't get how they're favored, but also I don't trust the Falcons because part of me would like to take their +2.5 here, but I just don't trust the Falcons. I feel like their defense is actually playing very well this year. Their offense is just so fucking hit or miss. Without Fred Warner, though, I could totally see them struggling a little bit against Bijan Robinson, who's one of the most explosive players in football. So I will take Atlanta to win this game outright, but I'm not touching the spread. I'm not that confident in my pick to try to double dip.
Yeah, it's pretty much, I'd say this is pretty much even. Just don't know who's coming back, who's healthy, and it's like,
and who's going to end up getting hurt on Sunday too?
Who's going down next?
Yeah, it's just a matter of time.
Shanahan is sacrificing everybody to keep McCarthy healthy or McCaffrey healthy. I'm sorry.
Yeah, and how long can he hold out?
How much longer are we going to go? No, I'm going to stick with my boys though.
Okay.
I'm not backing off of it. I'm definitely thinking it's actually probably going to be a good offensive game. I mean, you look at the over under, it's going to be, there's going to be some scoring. It won't be boring. That's for sure. I wish both teams were totally 100% healthy. It would even be much more fun to watch.
Yeah, but unfortunately, not the case. So, all right, I got you down for San Fran. Now we flip gears. We head to Monday Night Football. This is where I will be taking my spread pick here. I am going with I'm going with Detroit to win the game, but I'm going to take Tampa plus the 5.5. I think they could keep it within 6.
Ooh. If I saw things correctly, it looked like Mike Evans is returning this week.
I have not seen that. I have him on one of my fantasy teams. I haven't gotten an update for anything yet, unless I missed it.
I know Double E, it looks like he is going to be out this week, so that kind of sucks.
Yeah, and they're still without Bucky Irving as well.
Yeah, I know they're without Bucky, but I think Baker's pretty capable of handling things. It's gonna be a fun Monday. That's the definite. Thank God it's on early because I get that. I'm gonna at least watch it all because I'm not gonna stay.
Yeah, that 10 o'clock start for the other game is fucking ridiculous. Start that game at like maybe not 8:30.
But remember, that's out in Seattle. That's 7 o'clock Seattle time.
Oh, I know.
So
but remember, I mean,
that's totally that second game is strictly for West Coasters.
I know it's just still stupid that they do that. I mean, just make the game a Sunday night or Sunday afternoon game. Then it should be a 4:30 game on a Sunday at that point. It's not like these are like two Super Bowl, defending teams or there's some big rivalry. Why are we putting them at 10 o'clock? It was the same thing with the what was it, week 2? They had the Raiders and the Chargers play 10 o'clock on a Monday night. Like, come on.
Because it's 7 o'clock out there.
Right. But I'm saying, why are they the Monday night game that everyone on the East Coast can't watch because they're going to be in bed? Let us watch it at 4:30 if you want to watch that game.
Well, it's because most of the West Coasters are at work still when the first game is still going on. Or they're just coming home from dinner or on the freeway. They're stuck on the freeway listening to it on the radio. Because it's 5 and 6 o'clock.
Well, right. I'm just saying this game shouldn't.
They made it convenient. They're trying to make things convenient for everybody. So that's why the NFL
4:30 on a Sunday would be convenient for everybody because then you're fine. It's 1 o'clock for them. It's 4:30 for us here. 10 o'clock on a Monday night. That's later than a freaking NBA Finals game, for God's sake.
Dude, imagine living in Hawaii and having to watch football.
That's their own fault.
I've talked to a few people.
They've got beautiful weather, so they can deal with it. I apologize. Who'd you take for the Tampa Detroit game?
I'm going to take Tampa.
You are taking Tampa? Okay.
Yep, I'm going to take Tampa.
I just looked it up too. They said they hope they can get Mike Evans back at practice this week. Ibuka and Chris Godwin have basically both been ruled out. Bucky Irving's still going to be out, so it's not looking good for all those guys. I would suspect Mike Evans doesn't play this Sunday or Monday. But time will tell. Even still, how healthy is he going to be? And that's kind of the only weapon they're going to have. So again, I think Baker can keep it close. I think he's really battling his ass off this year. But I also could see them not winning.
And some guy named Sterling Shepard has found the resurrection of his career there. What in the blue blazes is going on with that? That's so. Like I said, I'm not counting Tampa just
when you're on a team with Mike Evans, Emeka Ibuka, and Bucky Irving, it's kind of easy to be the lost boy out there. So defenses kind of forget about you. So it's good to take advantage of that. And now we get to this, game 2, the 10 p.m. monstrosity. Houston is coming off of a bye, but Houston has just not looked like a good football team this year. They beat up on the Ravens. They were close in a couple games early, but they were also very low scoring as a team. I don't trust them yet. I still need to see more to get confidence. Seattle's been super Jekyll and Hyde. So this is a tale of two teams that I can't get a fucking vibe on. I thought Seattle would beat the Bucs for sure a couple weeks ago because they have a good defense. What did they do? Sam Darnold and Baker Mayfield both almost win 100% completion percentage and didn't make any sense to me. And they each scored 30 plus points. Houston's defense or offense, barely scores 20 points in a game except for that Ravens game. They've been pretty bad this year. So does Seattle's defense show up? I don't know. Did the week off give Houston some rejuvenation? I don't know. So with those unknowns, I have to look at this game as kind of a pick 'em. And that's when I go with the home team. And I think the 12s are going to be nice and loud out there in Seattle, but not loud enough to keep me awake at night because I will be sleeping during this one. So give me Seattle.
I'm listening to the first piece that you had mentioned is like, there's no defense here. And I'm I am definitely ripping this one apart because Cooper Kupp hasn't done squat.
He got a touchdown against the Jags.
Whoa! Finally, his first one.
Hey, more than Travis Hunter.
He hasn't done squat.
No, I mean the Rams knew that when they got rid of him, but they have Jackson Smith and Jigba, who is arguably one of the best wide receivers in football.
Yeah,
so,
and he definitely is. And the scary thing is that's pretty much about what they got. Besides a couple of running backs who are pretty average.
Yeah, they got Jake Bobo. They got Torrey Horton. They've got some decent players there.
Okay.
They've got Gray Zabel, the guard, first-round guard that they took last year.
The Texans.
Okay. I just don't trust the Texans yet. I haven't seen enough of positives out of them to get a feel. All right. With that, George, if you want to give me your Browns-Dolphins pick for our final pick here, I'll let you go first, and then I will quickly do a breakdown of that game, and then we will do just the tip.
Gosh, man, this is... Can we just have the wheel of death on this one?
This is the prison inmate game of the week, and unfortunately, I will be watching every minute of it.
Oh, I just want to barf just thinking about it. But you know what? I'm gonna go with Miss Crippen and the class and the Miami Dolphins will get the win, and they will get to celebrate. All
right. Well, yeah, this is an interesting game. The weather report right now is looking like showers. It's going to be a sloppy one. I feel bad for any fan that's going to be in attendance for this. I know there's a lot of fans from out of town that are coming in for this game because they were thinking mid-October, Cleveland, Dolphins should be a fun one. It's not going to be fun. The Dolphins are 1-5. Again, the Dolphins have lost some games. The Dolphins have lost them, though, close. The Browns have lost some games, and they've lost them by double digits. So, Browns are not a good team. The Browns defense is supposed to be their bread and butter. The Browns defense has looked pretty piss poor over the last couple of weeks, to be honest. They've lost to Carson Wentz in embarrassing fashion. They've lost to Aaron Rodgers in embarrassing fashion. Special teams, pretty much once a week, there is a blunder. This week, specifically against the Steelers, there was a running into the punter call, and the fucked up part was that Gene Steratore came on right away and said, yeah, guys, he was being engaged by another player. That should not have been a penalty. And instead, the refs kept it a penalty, gave them a first down, and the Steelers scored a touchdown on that drive when it should have been Browns ball. So little things like that go against the Browns. It happens. I'm a Browns fan. I'm not blaming the refs. That one play didn't change anything. However, there was another play. There was a crossing route over the middle from Dylan Gabriel to Gage Larvin. Gage Larvin caught the ball. He got hit by a couple players who didn't tackle him. He pulled away from them, started running away, and the ref said, nope, we blew the whistle, you're down, which should have been a 58-yard touchdown, but the refs blew a quick whistle. So multiple poor calls by the referees did hurt the Browns. Do I think it cost them the game? No, again, Browns did enough to not win that one on their own, so whatever. Browns keep finding ways to lose, though, but they have had a very tough schedule. The Bengals week 1 were healthy at the time, so that was a tough game when you have Joe Burrow. Week 2, you played the Baltimore Ravens, which was, an impossible feat in Baltimore. Then you faced the Packers, who are one of the best teams in football, and you gave them their one and only loss on the season somehow. And then you went to Detroit, and then you played Minnesota in London. Then you played the Steelers. Your 6-game gauntlet is over. You are now seeing the schedule ease up. This is where the Browns need to score more than 17 points, which they haven't done in a fortnight. They need to establish the ground game because it's supposed to be wet and sloppy. Don't turn it over. Make Tua throw the ball, get turnovers, stop their run game. Easier said than done. I don't trust the Browns. I know that kind of tease there made you think I was going to take the Cleveland Browns, but I am going with it. In a game where you have to run the rock, I'm taking Mike McDaniels and his offense over this Cleveland Browns team right now because Cleveland Browns might have to rely on Dylan Gabriel to make a couple plays. And while I think Gabriel is a capable backup quarterback, I don't think he's going to be making plays out in the rain in Cleveland in October. I will take the team that can run the ball a little bit better, and I believe that's going to be the Miami Dolphins because of their zone blocking scheme, because the Browns' offensive line is shit, and I'm just not confident in them right now. So I am with George. I am taking Miami, and I really can't pick the Browns to win a game until I see them win, look like they deserve a win. I know I took Green Bay, obviously, a few weeks ago, and the Browns won, But the Browns didn't even look like a team that deserved to win that game. They needed to make they were held to no points until the fourth quarter. They had to make a crazy comeback. So with that being said, I also am taking the Miami Dolphins. I think the Browns go 1-6. Do they fire Stefanski? I don't know. A lot of people are speculating that after this game, the losing team fires their head coach. I think that's true if the Dolphins lose. I think if the Browns lose, they do not. Because again, gun to my head, I personally believe this is a planned tank that Jimmy, Andrew, and Kevin, and Paul DePodesta, if you want to include him, are all in agreement on. And no one's getting fired. But we'll see. An embarrassing game, the boo birds from the fans, protests from the fans, throwing shit on the field if they start making a scene, which is very possible in Cleveland. Never say never. Something ugly like that could make Jimmy Haslam say, fuck it, I got to do something just to make the fans happy because we're 1-6. No one's going to be coming to games for the rest of the year. That's where we make our money. I need to get them back into it for a couple of weeks. So maybe he does do something drastic. Who knows? I hope not, but I will never say never to a crazy billionaire to do something drastic. So we'll see. But for the time being, I am taking the Cleveland Browns. I don't see a way that they win a football game until they show me that they can win a football game. I know that sounds redundant, but it's the truth. So that is
I hope so too, because
it would be nice.
Already asked me, he goes, so Dad, we're going to the 49ers Browns game, right? I'm like, oh, I'm looking at it. I was like, the more they keep losing,
keep watching those prices go down. Absolutely.
We got some friends with season tickets, and I'm going to be going, hey.
You might have people giving you tickets and a pile of cash to take the tickets off their hands. So you might double out. So we'll see how that goes.
Keeping fingers crossed. I said I get to wear my CMC 49ers jersey to the game. It should be no problem.
Hopefully he's healthy.
Right.
By that point. So yeah, that's those are our week 7 picks. And again, Kyle will be texting me his picks by sometime. So we'll get those in for next week, and we'll have them all accounted for, and we'll go from there. But with that being said, it is time for everyone's favorite segment, and that is just the tip. I will let George start off because George is an honorary guest today to do his tip. Unless you need me to go first, I don't know how the slides worked out.
No, I did it as normal, letting you get the big to do. We, as a family, finally got the opportunity to go catch a movie over the weekend, and thank goodness, Amherst has a definitely affordable pricing at $5 a head, which is great.
It's not bad.
And we went and saw Tron Ares.
Okay.
Bryce, of course, as much as the kid's into sports, he's also into sci-fi. Loves his Star Wars since he's been like 18 months old. And
okay.
So Star Wars, Tron, Lord of the Rings, you name it, he's into it. So of course, we had to definitely catch up. And storyline, I went into this movie as much of a fan as I am. I'm sitting there going, I'm seeing the trailer. I'm like, nope, I'm going to hate this. I'm going to hate this. I'm going to hate this. And when I walked out, I went, you know what? I like what they did. And they left space open to create more to what they had to do. And I was so very pleased with it, and I thought that the storyline, it made sense. The after credit scenes were, the main one was just like, oh my gosh, an awesome cliffhanger. And I said, oh yes, please do. Fantastic. Leto crushed this.
Okay.
100% crushed this.
I gotta say, you're the one person so far that I've seen praise this movie. I've actually seen a lot of negative reviews on it. Personally, I'm not a Jared Leto fan. I don't get how he keeps getting starring roles personally. I thought he was good in like Dallas Buyers Club. He was good in American Psycho. Like when he has small roles, I think he's decent, but main roles, I don't like him in them at all. So I had yet to. He was terrible as the Joker. Morbius was one of the worst movies I've ever seen. Like he's had some real clunkers out there. Yeah. And Tron especially, I've seen some bad reviews. I saw a lot of people that said that like, just not a good movie, blah blah blah. I haven't seen it yet, so I can't judge. But there's some people I listen to that do reviews, and this was one that they talked about last week, and they said that they did not like it. They poo-pooed it. So I'm gonna watch it eventually, but I'm going in with some low expectations. But then I hear from you, it's possibly the opposite.
And that's what I did, because I wanted to go in hating this, because, after reading some stuff and looking at the trailers, and I'm just like, I know I'm just going to hate this.
Yeah.
And when watching it and letting it play out, I surprised myself. It's kind of like when the Star Trek reboot did with the newer crew came out, and everybody was upset because of the time travel thing,
Picard or whatever it's called.
And I said, guys, don't hate the fact that Gene Roddenberry allowed the time travel thing in Star Trek. He did it for Star Trek 5. Hello.
Yeah.
But don't be upset about it when they utilize that frame to reboot the Star Trek movies. I thought that was ingenious to turn around and pull that off. I thought it was a very creative way to be able to do it, rather than just say, okay, we're just doing it. So I said, why not tie it in? And Leonard Nimoy, especially being your, creative kind of genius behind the scenes on top of it all,
R.I.P.
to help push it. So like I said, the same thing here.
Spock.
I 100%. And like I said, I went in wanting to hate this all the way, and walked out of it going, wow, good story. And that's just the thing. It was a really good storyline. Great. Nah, but good. Absolutely.
Okay.
I mean, it's not going to be, a, Oscar winner, as much as folks would say. The 9 Inch Nails soundtrack.
I heard that was really good.
Yes. Yes. Very good. They will not be winning any awards for sound, though, because it's sometimes, I don't know, maybe it might have just been our movie copy that we got, but there were some hiccups in the audio, so you really couldn't hear some lines at
Interesting.
some points. And I was like, what'd they say? What was that? And it kind of made for, okay, this is going to suck, because you couldn't hear what they were talking about. So that definitely made things a little bit difficult as well in my viewing.
Okay.
If I do get the opportunity to go see it again, I definitely will, or just wait for it to stream and see if the audio quality happens to improve upon that. But no, I liked the storyline. I think it was well written the way that they had to do it.
Okay, I'll check it out. Like I said, I saw some bad feedback on it, so it's interesting to hear that you liked it, because I didn't know what your pick was going to be tonight. So that's good to hear. I'll definitely, like I said, when it comes to streaming, I'll watch it for sure. I'm not going to miss watching it, but I'm not racing in the theaters personally.
Yeah, like I said, we spent $5 to go see it.
Yeah, you can't beat that.
Yeah, you can't.
All right. Well, I saw a new movie as well over the weekend. The wife and I saw The Conjuring: Last Rites, the last chapter of the Conjuring series, the fourth and final. The fourth and final one with Ed and Lorraine Warren. For those of you that know me, The Conjuring, the first one, is one of my favorite horror movies of all time. It is creepy. It's perfect. It's literally top to bottom, just such a great movie. The second Conjuring is really good. Not up to par with the first, but still very good. The third one was kind of meh. And then this fourth one came out. Fourth one was very good. Nowhere near the first one. I'll be the first to admit that. This one, though, takes place with them years down the line. They're basically retired from what they do. They're too old to be doing it anymore. And then they come to a situation where their daughter gets involved, and they decide to step in to help a family. And this is probably their hardest one that they've ever had to deal with. I don't want to spoil anything or give anything away for those of you that ever plan on watching it. And it's a classic Conjuring movie. If you've seen one, this one's kind of similar in that aspect of, here you have Ed and Lorraine. They get called to help a family. They go help the family. Crazy shit happens because they're helping a family that's possessed. It's kind of, it's the same thing, but these tell different stories. And these are supposedly, Ed and Lorraine wrote books. They were real people. These are quote unquote true stories. So that's the cool part about all this. Obviously, there's a lot of embellishing and like special effects to make it scarier and cooler. But if you're a fan of the Conjuring movies, which I am, I'm a huge fan. That's one thing on this Saturday, actually, when we go to Cedar Point. Cedar Point has a Conjuring like exhibit thing going on right now. And we didn't do it last week because it was sold out, but we went there and saw it, and we saw like the merch booth right outside. They had, I posted a picture on my Facebook feed of the Annabelle doll they have sitting out right in front of the building. So really cool stuff. I love the Conjuring. I have, I've got the nun tattooed here in my arm. I plan on getting Annabelle tattooed eventually. So I love the Conjuring movies. They're truly, the original, again, is in my top 3 favorite of all time. It probably goes the original Halloween, Strangers, and Conjuring are my top 3 favorite horror movies of all time. So that's some high praise for this franchise. So if you get a chance, check it out. If you like the other ones, you'll like The Last Rites. And again, unfortunately, this is probably going to be the last one they make with this cast unless they go to a different story, which is very possible. I mean, they've made 4 Annabelle movies, I think. Yeah, 3 or 4. They made 2 Nun movies. They branch out. They're making other things from the universe. So we'll see what they end up doing. But it looks like this could be the end for the Ed and Lorraine chapter. But check it out if you get a chance. Very good movie. I really enjoyed it. Very happy to watch it because, again, favorite franchise of mine, and it's October. Watch a horror movie. All right, everybody. That is going to do it for this week. I'm going to get off of here. I'm going to go take out my contacts because my eyes are burning, and I am going to watch The Floor. It is time to get caught up on The Floor, and George and I are going to probably break down the episode together sometime. So
I was going to say, we definitely, because that I don't know what it is, but the show is just addicting.
It's so I love like. It's one of the only shows where I don't sit on my phone, because other shows you can kind of play around with your phone, but this one you're literally watching it and you're like, okay, shush, like they're about to start, and you want to try to guess. Like last week, I think they had one that was like potato chip brands. So I'm sitting there, I'm like, Lay's, Pringles, Fritos, like I know them all. I try to guess along, and I try to be faster than the people on the show. Like I love it. I'm a huge fan of the show. It's entertaining. Rob Lowe is a great host. They really knocked this one out of the park. So I am going to go watch that. And then as soon as that ends, we have a brand new episode of South Park tonight, finally for the first time in like 4 weeks, because they've postponed all their episodes for a long time. So I'm excited for them to be back. So I'm going to go watch all that shit and have a little baseball playing in the background because the Blue Jays just took the lead. It is 5-2 Toronto. So yeah, shit's getting exciting. So we'll talk to everybody again next week. I think Kyle will be back with us next week. Should be. And we'll go from there. So thank you guys for watching. We'll talk to you again next week. Again, if you can, like, subscribe, review, share, whatever, please check it out on YouTube. Trying to get YouTube going a little bit. So we will talk to you guys again next week. Cleveland, that was for you.